Greetings, dear brothers and sisters in Christ. This is Mary Catherine May coming to you on theroostersings.com on the 25th of March 2011. Today I would like to speak about a mission, a ministry that is an option for where you might want to send funds to help, or you might want to pray for these people. And these are the people that live in the southern part of the country of Madagascar. If you don't know where Madagascar is off the southeastern coast of Africa. At one time it was part of Africa. This large landmass broke off, and because of that, over many years, specific species have developed of both plants and animals to the point where these animals and plants can only be found in Madagascar. Madagascar is a fabulous place to visit because of these things, these plants and animals. At the same time, Madagascar has been going under having problems with political unrest, poverty. It's one of the most poor nations in the world, and the people that are not getting the funding and the education they need, the food, and not having their basic needs met, including water. This is not a place, a mission, of something that you will hear about on the national news a whole lot, if at all, because it is not a big, important country. Certainly we suffer with the people of Japan, but Japan is to the world far more prominent, far more important than a place like Madagascar. It is far more the Middle East, Libya, and all these countries that are going through problems right now, specifically Libya with Muammar Gaddafi, is far more prominent, far more important in places of the world with their suffering. Although there is other great suffering going on at the same time, these are the ones that are in the news. So you will not hear a whole lot about Madagascar, but they are God's children, as we are. And so at the end of February, there was a terrible cyclone that went through Madagascar. Many people, certainly not as many as the people in Japan that have died or are missing, but many people were killed in this cyclone, and thousands and thousands of people have been displaced from their homes. In southern Madagascar, there was, because of this cyclone, a great deal of flooding. And so that is what I'd like to share with you about today, because we have received those Pastor Morris Wagner's site, a former missionary, and his parents were missionaries in Madagascar, called RIM Online. That stands for Renewal International Missions Madagascar. RIM, R-I-M-M, online.org, where he reports information about Madagascar, as well as it's a place where people can find out how they can donate to Madagascar and get some information about prayer. You can contact Dr. Morris Wagner through rimonline.org, R-I-M-M online.org, and ask questions if you wish. So, how far away is Madagascar from where I am? Southern Madagascar specifically. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, to the southernmost airport in Madagascar. There aren't a whole lot of airports in Madagascar. There's about 4. This city is called Ihosi. Forgive my pronunciation. I have no idea how to pronounce these names. Ihosy, Madagascar, which is in the southern part of the country. If it is a distance, as the crow flies, 9,674.749 miles. That is how far away Madagascar is from Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is far. And so on this video you are going to be seeing, or you will be seeing, some photographs that have come through from Madagascar, and some information from a portion, selections from a letter that came from Madagascar dated the 27th of February 2011, right after this cyclone hit. And so I'm going to read portions of this letter. And again, I apologize for those of you that know Malagasy, the language. I do not know how to pronounce these names, and so I'm doing the best I can. But this is some information about what is going on in southern Madagascar, along with these 4 photographs that we have received from there, showing a bit of the damage that has gone on in southern Madagascar. Dear loved of Christ, when we arrived at the top of the long hill which overlooks Cyclone, having passed through countless rivulets of water still flowing out of the saturated soil, and having crossed Andranosiniki ankle deep, which had recently ripped out the concrete pilings of its new bridge, then we stop and remove our hats and raise a hand over Cyclone to seek protection, though for those we've left behind. Then turn to the road ahead, stretched out through miles of spiny forest, and pray for an open road, for the binding of all evil powers holding that road, which we know there are many, as not a single church in the widest meaning of the term, a body of 2 believers, exists between us and Tanamira, 16 kilometers ahead. We then don hats and pedal fearlessly down this cattle rustler's trail. But today the answer to that prayer took on new color. The high hurricane winds of last week had uprooted countless trees, many of the tall, very heavy Rohandroho trees, for every leaf is the size of a large finger full of cellulose and water, were stretched across our road, but we were able to pass around all 12 that I counted from there to Tanamira. There was always an opening or passage we could get through, and yet often, if not normally, these totally cut off a road. There were craters where none had been, the work of rivers of water draining off the land. The roads were totally changed. Sand appeared where none had been, and all the normally dry rivers were flowing. Arriving at Fanaroke, across the high ridge that divides the tumultuously rocky east toward Cyclone with the more sandy, clayey soils stretched out for miles without another rise to the Menaranda on the western horizon. The top of that mountain or ridge is a wonderful promontory from which to bless the land and again affirm the openness of the roads and the hearts of all those Tandroi on that side. We noticed that the river had risen over its 30-foot walls that contain it, flooding the fields of those farming some 200 feet in from the brink. These had all been flattened by high storms, which had also laid down the robust hedges of Sanjo cactus, which man cannot move without cutting it down. The river was now waist-deep and turbulent and surging, eager to join the Manambovo. In Tanamira we were not many, for those across from the Manambovo could not make it. We suspected this from the size of the Fanaroke, so didn't wait. I heard many stories of flooded fields. All of the manioc was rotten, but most of the corn, though leaning, was okay. A woman related that her corn leading hard west had been straightened again by a stiff west wind a few days later. They lived between 2 streams which are dry most of the year, forcing them to travel about 8 kilometers to the river to draw water from sand wells in the dry river bed. That is 8 kilometers, if I may interject, to walk or ride, if they are able to draw water for food, for washing, for drinking. That is how far they have to go usually to get water. And now in this instance, much of their food has been destroyed by this flooding. So I will continue on. The little dry streams on each side of the village, though, rose to such a height, flooding the village and coursing through her little cottages, which are on the low side of town, but she thanks God for protecting her and her buildings and the food she has stored in them. Many churches in the south had been destroyed, the same which had suffered not a mite some 5 years ago with that strong hurricane. Today, after repairing his rear axle, we cut north on the cart trail through the spiny forest to the Karananga Road. The trail was badly gutted and rutted, deep gullies and sand. We saw the same kind of wind carnage on this road as on the southern one, and mostly the Rohandroho, but the blessing in this tree falling is that goats cannot get under it or through its branches, so seedlings have a chance to develop. The forests are becoming denuded by the wanton scavenging of goats during the dry season when the grass is gone. And there you have it. I have left out the names. Madagascar in the south is not always a safe place to be, so I have put in the descriptions and left out the names of people simply for the because of the political unrest and the danger of the bandits that roam in that country. And so that part has been left out. It is certainly not a good circumstance. In the northern part of Madagascar, where there were many, where the lives were taken, and throughout Madagascar, a lot of rice is eaten. Well, the rice has been damaged. You heard about the food being damaged. Before this, southern Madagascar had been going through a drought for several years. And because of the drought, the people had sold their animals because they had nothing left with which to purchase whatever they needed. And so because they didn't have the animals, they were gone and now left without funds for purchase, without their animals. And so they were to the point before this cyclone came through with the damaging water, they were eating the food that they would normally feed to the cattle. So now they have plenty of water. What it did to the little bit of food that they were able to grow, I am not certain. I hope to possibly in the future to have more information, but this little bit will give you an idea of what is going on. The missionaries are few in southern Madagascar. I also read that there were hospitals destroyed, 2 hospitals. Well, there are very few hospitals in southern Madagascar. I'm rather concerned and hope to get some news about these hospitals that were destroyed, because I have a deep suspicion that there aren't many more than 2 hospitals in southern Madagascar.